Okay, so today is week 10 Monday semester 2. This is a study guide for solving equations for math 6 quarter 3. All right, so Grayson, let's take a look at number A. So first thing to do, this is an inequality, right? Inequality. You add the 5, x is less than 22. You put an equal sign. That's wrong. You cannot do that. You got to have the less than sign. Do you see that? Yes? Okay. She would have marked you wrong for that. So gotta watch out for it. Okay, for B, add the 9 on both sides. 3D is greater than 18. Divide it. D is greater than 6. Again, you need to make sure you have the sign. What is that? I don't understand what that is. You can either have it like this. Do you see how the greater sign is eating the letter D? Or you can have like this. Do you see how you can change them though? Okay, but you need to make sure you have the signs. If you don't have the signs, she's gonna mark you wrong. Okay, C. Always subtract the smaller x. Good. So 2x plus 1 is less than or equal to -7. Add the 1 on both sides. -7 plus 1 is a -6. Why did you put -1? Or I'm sorry, it's not. You're subtracting 1. Just kidding. -8. Divided by 2, x is less than or equal to -4. Again, sign. Do you see the sign that you missed right there? Okay, that's going to be, what's another way of writing this? Where is the inequality eating? The number or the letter? So you can also write it like this. Do you see how as long as it's pointed to the right letter or number, you can rewrite it however you want. Do you see that? Okay. Number 2. So we're going to do some evaluation. This one says if A equals -4, so 4 times -2 or -4 squared minus 4 times -3 times 2/3, right? Okay, you gotta do this part first. -4 times -4 is, okay, you got this wrong. It's not negative, it's -4 times -4. There's 2 -4s, which is a positive 16. Do you see that? Okay, -4 times -3 is a positive 12. 16 times 4 is a 64. 12 times 2 is 24. What is 24 divided by 3? 8. So your answer should be a 72. You got 72, but this is wrong. Do you see that? Okay. Emma, I'm trying to go over this, honey, so you're going to have to wait, okay? For B, you look super silly. 2 times -4 minus. Do you see how this one, there's a minus in front of it right there? C squared. C squared is going to be, C is -3 squared plus 3 times 2/3. You need to be very careful with this. So this negative is going to mess you up, okay? So this part right here is -3, hold on, times -3, which is a positive 9. Do you see that? So when you replace this, that's going to be replaced by a positive 9. 2 times -4 is -8 minus 9 plus 3 times 2 is 6. What's 6 divided by 3? 2. Do you see that? Okay, that's a -17 plus 2, which is a -15. You still got the right answer, but this is wrong, or this part is good. This part, you put a positive 9, that negative brings it down. Do you see how this works, Rayson? That -3 times -3 is a positive 9. That negative comes down, so be very, very careful. Oh, that's pretty silly. I didn't know it actually does that. That's silly. All right, number 3. Distributive property, -18a plus, okay, negative times a negative is a positive, 30. So you need to change that. Okay, this is your answer right here. For B, 45g minus 99. Okay, I'm gonna leave that there. What is your answer for C? Just tell me what you would do. Wait, so you gotta hurry up. I don't have all the time in the world. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and pause this right here so you work on it. You don't need to tell me, just pause it. Okay. Okay, next one, number 4. You didn't do number 4A, so you go ahead and do it right now, and then we'll share this together, okay? I see you, silly head. You do look like a can. You look like a silly little can. Yeah, silly. Okay, I want you to pay attention for letter C first, Grayson. Can you pay attention and look up right now? For C, do you see how there's a minus right there? That means you change that to a plus, but then everything here needs to be changing sign. So that becomes a negative 14C. That becomes a positive 10. Do you see that? Okay, so then you just bring this part out. 6C plus 4 plus minus negative 14C. You can ignore this plus because the negative 14, this part is what matters. That negative sign in front of the 14 is what matters, okay? And then from there, you just combine your like terms. So like 6C combined with negative 14C, that's going to give you a negative 8C. Do you see that? And then 4 plus the 10, which is the number, is positive 14. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, so move on to the next one for letter D. Yeah, or whatever you're working on. I'm already pausing it. Yeah. I'm gonna move on because I have to go pick up your brothers later. So you're gonna have to watch this video later. Make sure you're careful with the negative. So that becomes, remember with this one, this you change to a positive, and then everything here inside changes. So that's a positive, but everything on the inside changes. Positive 8n becomes a negative 8n. Negative 12 becomes a positive 12. So then once you do that, you can now combine like terms. And that is your answer. Okay, so for number 5, you want to isolate the 6. So I'm going to write down the steps for you. Subtract 7 on both sides. Then what ends up happening, this part cancels. You bring down the 6D equals negative 18. Step number 2. Divide it by 6 on both sides. That part cancels. D equals negative 3. That is your answer. Okay, for B, step number 1. Notice that there's 2 P's on 2 different locations. You're going to move the smaller P. So in this case, we're going to subtract the 5P on both sides. When you do that, this part cancels, bring down the 24, which 9 minus 5 is a positive 4P. Divided by 4 on both sides. 4 cancels, P is now by itself, and that gives me a 6. For C, I notice there's a B on the left side, a B on the right side. I can't combine any like terms right now. So remember, first thing to do is you want to move the smaller variable. So in this case, 2B is the smallest. Opposite of a positive 2B is a minus 2B. When I do that, the 2B cancels. You bring down the negative 13. Next step, you got to get rid of the number because we already moved the variable. So opposite of a positive 17 is a minus 17. So then from there, 17 cancels. You bring down the 5B equals negative 30. Last step, you divide it by 5. B is equal to negative 6. That is your answer. Hey, Grace, I'm gonna have you Pay attention, flip your paper to the back. Okay, we're gonna start with letter D, okay? Tell me, what would you do with letter D? What are your steps? Step number 1. There's nothing to combine. All I notice is that there's parentheses. So when you see parentheses, what do? Distribute the 2. Take the 2, multiply it in here. You get 2t minus 18, right? You drop everything else down. 7 plus this equals 13. Step number 2. Now, if you look on the left side, do you see that there's a number and another number here? Combine like terms on the left side. What can you combine? Yeah, which gives you a negative 11 equals 13, right? What's your next step? Yep, opposite of negative 11 is? So add the 11 on both sides. Cross it out, bring down the 2t equals what? Okay, last step. Okay, which is what? T equals? Good, that's it. Okay, good. That's how you would do D. Now we're gonna walk it through with E. Are you ready? Okay, with E and F, I'm actually gonna put this on another page because this one is a little bit, there's not enough space there. Okay, so for E. Okay, this one's kind of a difficult one, right? Because there's a lot of, do you see how it's very busy on the left side? There's like 3 terms. You see 1, 2, 3. Whenever there's 3 terms on the left side, I know that I probably have to combine something. So what are you gonna combine? So step number 1, combine like terms on the left side. So what are you gonna combine? Do any of them repeat either with M's or with numbers? Those, right? What does that give you? No, 3 minus 5 is? Yeah, bring everything else down. Minus 6 equals 2m minus 18. What's your second step? If you have like 2 numbers on or 2 terms on each side, you always move something. What do you move? Which one's a smaller variable? No, negative 2m. So opposite of negative 2 is a? Yeah, so add the 2m on both sides, draw your line. Do you see how I'm doing my work on the side, but everything I do here in the center of this area is clean? Do you see that? Plot that out, minus 6 equals, what does that give you? How many m's? Okay, third step, what do you do? How do you do it? How do you do that? That crosses out, 4m is equal to what? Okay, last step. Last step. What's your next step? Negative 6 plus 18 is 12. What's my next step? Good. Okay. All right, F. This one looks busy. First thing that comes to mind, what do you notice? What sticks out at you? Yeah, that's the first thing you want to do is get rid of these parentheses, right? And then we're probably going to combine like terms, right? Okay, so step number 1 is what? Distribute the negative 3. But because it's a negative, you got to be very careful when you distribute it because a negative kind of messes things up, right? So what do you get? Nope. Negative. Negative. Yeah. If you do not watch out for that negative, you're going to have the whole thing wrong. Do you understand? Step number 2. What's your next? Which side? Yep. And yep. What do you get for that? Positive or negative? Yes. So don't say 3. Make sure you say negative 3 because that matters. Step number 3, what do you do? No, we already combined the like terms. We already did that for the second step. Third step, see how there's a variable and a number on the left side, number and a variable on the right side. They're all balanced, right? There's nothing else to combine. So you gotta move the smaller variable. Which one's a smaller variable? Good. So you're gonna add 3k on both sides. But make sure when you add them, you line up the k's with the k's. Do you see that? Okay, it matters because you cannot have the 3k over with a 6, okay? 3k cancels. You bring everything down. What's negative 2k plus 3k? What does that give you? What is it? No, signs. Gotta be careful with signs. 1k, yep. Fourth step, what do you do next? Oh, I thought you said 5k. All right, okay, next step. No, you're gonna have to move something. What are you moving? Yeah, opposite of a positive 6 is a, because remember, your job's to get k by itself, right? So in the slowly, step by step, get rid of it. You don't need to put a 1k. 1 times k is just k, right? If it was other than 1, you will probably have to divide it. So what's negative 12 minus 6? Negative 18. Okay, I think that's about it. One other thing that I'm going to ask you to pay attention to is reciprocal. Let's say, for example, you have something that looks like this. So this is not on your paper, but I want you to take a look at it. If I have 6 over 3k equals negative 9, like that, how do you get rid of the 6 over, well, actually, let's make that 6 over 5. Let's do it that way. How do I get rid of the 6 over 5? You technically be dividing, right? It's 6 over 5k equals negative 9. No. If I want to get k by itself, how do I get rid of the 6 over k? You multiply by what? This is so bad. Reciprocal. What's a reciprocal of 6 over 5? You flip it, which is? That's how you get rid of this. Do you see that? So then what ends up happening is the 5 and the 5 cancels. 6 and the 6 cancel. Now you see how the k is by itself? Put a 1 underneath it. What is my answer? Good. Do you see how that works? Because really what you're doing is you multiply by 6, right? But you also divide by 5. You're multiplying by 5. You divide by 6. You're basically doing 2 steps in 1. Do you see that? Do you see how when I have the divide by 6, there's a 6 on the bottom. Do you see that? And when I say multiply by 5, do you see how you're timing by 5 right there? Yeah, so just make sure you understand this, okay? All right, that concludes everything. So I have all the stuff done for you. You just need to make sure you start working on your own and then look at the examples. Do you understand? Be careful with the signs. And the one thing I noticed is that she didn't have any reciprocals on this one, which is interesting because she had a bunch of reciprocal questions on her task.